Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. You may notice I haven't uploaded anything in the last like 2 or 3 weeks or something. I don't know how long it's been now. Too long. And the reason for that is I've had nothing to upload. I had loads of stuff that was sort of a fallout from my new PC build. And then just as I thought I sort of put all of that through on like 2 videos a week, thinking I was going to have loads of videos. And then suddenly the repairs dried up. And it's not that I haven't been fixing stuff, but it's all been virus removal and hard drive replacement and boring stuff that I'm not going to bother making videos for. And there was a couple of interesting ones that I'm like, oh, this will be a good video. And then they turned out to be a bust because either the repair didn't work or just something happened that caused me to throw out the video, which happens now and then. Like I had what I thought was going to be a really good video on fixing a power supply, but the fix that I did didn't work, and I've no idea what's wrong with it, and I can't be bothered to go any further with it. So it's just, I don't know and I don't care about that one. So the video got thrown out. But because I haven't got anything to upload, and like even now there's nothing in the pipeline, so I'm just like, ugh, you know what? Let's just take all of the crap, all of the B-roll footage that I've got, and because there's not even anything that would be a really interesting B-roll in my opinion. So I thought what we'll do is we'll get all the B-roll footage and just roll it together into sort of a B-roll extravaganza. So roll the film, here we go. Here's all the bollocks that got thrown out because it turned out to be an easy one or something like that. Roll it, go, here we go, scene cut, bang, now, go. Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. We've got a custom built gaming rig here that is not posting. So let's have a look at this one and see what's going on with it. It's had some upgrades done on it. It's based from a very, very cheap budget build. But you know, that's okay. It's been upgraded with a 1050 Ti and it's got a nice EVGA power supply that's been put in it as well. So yeah, let's see what's going on with this bad boy. Okay, so let's get some power on this thing and replicate the fault first. Power, power, and power. There's a green light. Fans are all making the right noises. Okay, right, so nope, we have no post, we have no display output apparently. I'm just going to quickly plug a monitor into the DVI connector just to make sure that it's not outputting on the onboard video or something like that. It's a trap for young players, as they say. Nope, okay, right, well, the first thing we're going to do, because 9 times out of 10 it works, is reset the BIOS. So let's drop that RTC battery out. It's a funny looking connector on that. It looks kind of weird, but it seems to be holding the battery okay. So we'll leave the battery out of there for a minute or so. And while the battery is out, I'm just going to do a visual inspection on all the connectors. Just make sure that everything is plugged in properly. There's no problems. All the locking connectors are closed. There's nothing obviously plugged in where it shouldn't be. That kind of thing. This all looks fine. And where is our BIOS reset jumper? I'm guessing it must be this fella down here. But that looks fine as well. We have got a speaker on the motherboard, so we should get a system beep when it does post. This is a really naff motherboard though, so I'm not holding my breath for quality from here. Alright, that'll do. Let's plug that back in and see what happens. Ugh. Ugh. What the hell with this battery holder? Well, okay, right. Power at the back. Right, it turned on the moment I turned the power on there, which is unusual behaviour. But then that does confirm that it responded to the BIOS being reset. And we have no output. Okay, right, let's go for the bare boot. So we'll turn it off, we'll disconnect anything that's not critical for startup. Plug it into the onboard graphics, see if we get anything from there. Okay, right, with the bare boots, I'm using VGA because I can't find my DVI to HDMI, DVI to VGA adapter, and we just had a beep straight away, so I think we're about to get a post. Let's just see if the monitor lights up, which it hasn't. Let's try that again. No. No beep and no display output. Right, okay, next onto the memory. We'll take all the memory out, put in a single known trusted module and see what it does. Don't like the way it turns on by itself when I apply power again, but that could just be a BIOS setting. Oh, there we go, we've got post. Alright, I'm just going to turn that off straight away and I'm going to put the graphics card back in so you guys can see what's happening. Okay, let's run that again with the graphics card in. It's probably going to turn on by itself again. Oh, it's decided not to this time, probably because the previous boot up was successful. And let's get you guys... Okay, there we go. So there's our post. So that dude is starting up just fine. It should give us no boot device because we've unplugged all the SATA drives. So that's good enough for me. So now we'll drop in the customer memory module by module until it stops working again. So power off, known good out. Right, and we've got some Kingston and we've got some Elixir. So the Elixir stuff, it's a brand that I recognise, but it's not exactly a quality brand. It's also mismatched, slightly different memory, you know, so similar, but it's not identical, so that's just worth noting. It's got a bit of a hodgepodge in it. The Kingston stuff is probably fine, and Kingston memory has a lifetime warranty on it, so I'll be very surprised if there's any issues with this stuff. It might just be that all the memory needed reseating. We may plug all of these modules in to find there's nothing wrong with any of them. But we're going to do them one by one first. Power on. Bam. Post again. Okay. Power off. Off at the back. And because I'm going to be doing a lot of power cycling now, what I'm doing is I switch it off at the back and then I press the power switch again just to get that pulse out of it, and that will just quickly drain the power supply. Which should hopefully make the computer a bit more tolerant of the rough treatment that it's getting with the power cycling and such. Alright, that's still fine. Those are the two Kingston modules. Power off the back, pulse it, and out we go. That looks like a no post to me. I think we found our dodgy module. The green Elixir model. The green Elixir module is not posting. Put that onto one side. Let's try the last one. And post straight away. Okay. Right, let's stick in everything except the dodgy module. Right, let's see if we get a post with the 3 good ones. It might be unhappy with the order. No, it's not. We've got post again. Good stuff. Right, let's have an F2. Okay, so we have apparently total memory 6 GB, which tallies because we've got 3 2s in there. And it's actually giving us a breakdown of all 3 slots as well, which is nice. So yeah, DIMM2 is empty. The rest of them have got 2 GB modules in them. Good. All right, so we'll power that off. We'll put the bad one in. And in all probability now, it's not going to start with the bad module. Then what we'll do is we'll run memtest across the remaining modules and just see if any of the other ones are duff, and then we know if there are any others that need to be changed out as well. Because it's posting with the other Elixir model in, but there might be problems with that one too. But other than that, it looks like we just got a bad module. Yeah, no post. Sad trombone. Alright, there we go. Okay, so you're coming back out again. So that Elixir module is crap. There's no visible problems with it. Just a bad unit. Alright, we're going to mem test the rest of this. So let's grab Gigi the cat. Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got an Acer V3571 here that doesn't charge. So let's plug in a charger, and we have no lights on the front. Known good charger, no lights. So the charging port looks kind of banged up there, missing plastic and such. So yeah, we're going to open this up and have an inspection. My guess is the wires have come off of the back of the jack. So let's strip this thing down and do a visual inspection. Cue the fast forward bit.
Well, what I am and what I've got never seem to be enough. Every day
Really? There's nothing there. What is this nonsense? Right, that'll do it. Wire hanging off the end there. So what we'll do, we'll pull this out, we'll re-trim the ends of these cables, solder it back on, and that'll be absolutely fine. So quite a common failing point this. You can buy this DC jack with the fly lead on it as a whole piece from eBay. However, I'm going to resolder because I can. So yes, unfortunately some of these screen mounts are broken off on the way out. That's unfortunate, not much I can do about that. The laptop shows signs that it's been dropped, which is why these guys have snapped on exit. So yeah, there's not a lot I can do about that, unfortunately. Whoa. Can I get away without taking the motherboard out? I think I can. Whether I can get it back in or not is another question. Right, let's get this guy under the soldering iron. Feels like time stands still with everything that I do. Everyone moves on, and I'm still trying to get through. Aiming for success, try so hard to be great. Yet the things I do barely are worth the wait. I can't seem to figure out my life. I just wish that I could get it right. Well, what I am and what I've got never seem to be enough. Every day seems. Okay, right. Can I get this bad boy in without removing the motherboard? You can just hook that under there. Now that's promising. Yeah, that'll do. No problem. Okay, right, let's feed that back in there. No problem. Right, now we've lost a little bit of plastic off of the back here. There's a chunk of plastic out from there, which doesn't look like it's making this a little bit wobbly, but Not to a problematic amount, I don't think. I'm not going to take any action on that. I think by the time all the screws are back in, that's not going to go anywhere. It felt alright when I plugged it in at the start, so I'm going with that. So let's get the display cable plugs back in and the speaker plugs back in. That one there. And then we'll screw all this back together. So despite these mounts here being broken, on both sides I might add, I think there are enough screws going through the hinges to the top case to hold this all together. So I'm not hugely bothered about that. It's not ideal, but I don't think it's a deal breaker. I've seen laptops to get held together with a lot less. And the only way to truly fix that is to replace the bottom case, which I don't particularly want to do. However, if it gets any, I'll let the customer know about this, and if it gets any worse, I'll say come back and we'll replace the bottom case for you as well. Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got a problem one here. This computer doesn't turn on at all. When you try and start it, you get a tiny twitch from the fan, like quarter fan spin, so it goes ugh, and that's it. And that's all the computer gives. So I've started going through it, you know, popped the BIOS battery and stuff like that. Unplugged all the other front panel connectors and bare booted graphics cards out, you know, everything. And still nothing, and I was like, damn, okay, well, right, well, next is test the power supply, right? So I get out my big old Antec to plug this bad boy into it, and then I go, what's this? It's got a weird proprietary power supply connector on it, and I've checked the pin alignment on that. That's not just a cut down ATX connector, that's a proprietary one. The pins are just not in any kind of arrangement that matches the ATX connector. At first, I thought I might be able to just get the Antec connector and just like bodge it on the end so it was hanging halfway off or something like that. However, if you line the green power on signal pin up, that is, what is that? That's fourth along the top row from the right. However, on this connector, it's two from the top left on the top row. So it's a completely different non-standard pin arrangement there. So I can't plug in my spare power supply. Now, especially, so it's probably a dead power supply, but if I buy a spare power supply for this and it's not the power supply, I'm going to have a proprietary power supply that I'm not going to use anywhere else. So I don't want to risk that. So how do we tell if it's the power supply or something else? How can we tell if the power supply is gone without changing the power supply? Well, here's how I came to my conclusion. So let me show you what happens. So I'm going to plug it in. Power in the back, and I'm going to press the power button, watch for that fan spin. Oh, idiot, the front panel plug is disconnected. Let me just short green and black. Boop. Right, so there's the quarter fan spin. Shorting the green pin to the black pin is the same as pressing the power button, so that's what happened there. So that's what happens, that's what it does. Now let me show you how I figured out that it is the power supply. Firstly, I plugged in my oscilloscope, so that's hanging off of one of the 12-volt rails, one of the yellow pins here. I've put this in trigger mode, and this is what we saw. So if we scroll over here, so as you can see on our oscilloscope output, here's our flat line where it's off, then it jumps on where the 12-volt rail starts coming up. We're on 5 volts per division, so we're going 5, 10. It jumps up to 10 volts, you can see from Vmax there. And then it starts going, and dies. So yeah. So the weird thing is, that trail off is what told me that it was probably a power supply issue. Because if there was some other issue, like the motherboard was telling it to turn off or something like that, that 12 volt would just go, whoop, and it would just come on and then it would turn off again. But that trail off, that's a long trail off, that is. That's a sag. And what's going on there is the 12 volt rail is shorted. It jumps up to 10 volts and then it hits the maximum current that the 12 volt rail can deliver. So the voltage starts sagging, where the regulated power supply starts dying off. So we can prove this now. Once I've done that, I then just simply got my multimeter, put that in resistance mode, unplug the computer. So if we stick our probes across ground and the 12-volt rail, as you can see, we have naff all. That's 50 ohms, well 55, bit of quiescent charge there, basically nothing. We should be seeing kilo ohms here, or an awful lot more than that. So now the next thing of course is, okay, well, is the motherboard shorted or the power supply? No problem, we'll unplug the power supply and we'll test both ends of that. So let's unplug all my guff here. Right, so CPU power line. So there's the probes plugged into the CPU power line. Nothing going on there. So again, that's a 12-volt rail. And if I now stick the probes back onto the motherboard pins again, on the motherboard, there we go, we've got kilo ohms and rising. So from that, we can say beyond any reasonable doubt that the power supply is gone. Most likely, there is a dead cap in this thing. However, the chances of, I'm buggered if I can be bothered to take it apart and recap it. I'm probably just going to jump on eBay and buy another one. However, if it turns out they cost like £100 on eBay, you'll probably see me after the screen cut saying that I'm going to recap this PSU. If you don't, it's because I just bought one on eBay for about 20 quid. Oh, and of course, just for comparison, we'll just compare that with the CPU power connector on the Antec power supply. So here's a known good. Granted, it's a power supply about 4 times the size, but still, as you can see, the internal caps on the power supply are just charging up there. Hundreds, and that's going to go into the thousands. There we go. Now we're onto the kilo ohms range, and that's just going to keep going while the tester charges up the caps in there. And then when I take off the tester, those caps will just naturally discharge because the power supply will have a bleeder resistor in there just to bleed off those capacitors. So yeah. Okay, right, I've got my replacement power supply, and just as a final confirmation check, just in case people are wondering, let's just plug in the tester, yellow to black on resistance mode. And there we go. There's the internal caps charging up. So that's what a healthy power supply should do. And that's going up into the kilo ohms now. Nice. Right, here is another test that I should have done at the time, but I didn't think of because we had quarter fan spin, so those twitchy fans. And normally when you get any kind of even momentary light, I generally assume that the power supply will spin up if I ask it to. But basically, if we look on the connector here, the green wire, this is the power on signal, and if we short this to any ground, so any black wire, it will tell the power supply to turn on. Now watch the fan closely as I short these. So there's the black, and here comes the green. There we go. You saw the fan twitch there? Will it do it again for me? There you go, there's another one. So now I wasn't expecting this to work while I was originally fixing the computer, because normally if you get any kind of quarter fan spin on the CPU fan and stuff like that, the power supply is probably going to turn on when you short it like that. And you can get weird kind of faults with power supplies where the power supply will turn on if you just short it out while it's not connected to anything, but as soon as you put a load on it, the power supply will fail. And I've actually got another B-roll video somewhere called fan spin does not a working power supply make, or something like that, which demonstrates this problem quite well. But at any rate, yeah, that's another way that we could have tested the power supply that would have been a lot easier. But I don't know, I hope you learned something about using multimeters and how power supplies work. And on that note, that's the end of this video. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon with some more repair videos. Goodbye for now.